Let's talk about Marvel a little bit here, because I think the director of the upcoming She-Hulk show is actually saying some pretty good things. And everything that I've read about, like, what they're doing with this show makes me think that this show actually might buck the trend of bad MCU Disney Plus shows. So, I could be wrong, but the director gave a really nice interview talking about how, she's very excited for what she's bringing. She can't wait to please the fans. And you really don't hear that kind of dialogue anymore. It's usually always fans are trash. Oh, those fans are trolling. How dare they not like what we're doing? And then you have Kat Coro come along and say, yeah, I'm really happy that Marvel's listening to the fans on this one, and I'm going to deliver a product that you really like. Something you don't hear very often anymore. So recently, the She-Hulk director spoke about how Marvel Studios considers feedback from its fan base when developing projects for the MCU. I don't know how much I believe that. She described how the studio really listens to its fans in a recent interview with Collider. It's almost like an organic being that really responds to what's going on in the culture. I think there's a real connectedness to the people who love the MCU and listening to what they want, and I hope we satisfy the fans. She went on to talk about how she's really excited to direct an MCU show and is very happy with how the show turned out. Really appreciates how the MCU is in an ever-expanding universe. I'm a huge fan of the MCU and is actually a giant fan of the She-Hulk comics, so when I heard they were making it, I went full court press and really sold myself as the person to bring this story to life. So there's a couple things in there that I really like. One, she seems very excited. If she's fans of the She-Hulk comics, I think that's pretty cool. That's a plus, in my opinion. And I hope we satisfy the fans. I really like that comment. It's not something you hear very often. So when it is said, I appreciate it. So, I'm willing to give this show a chance. The writer of the show, the one who wanted South Park canceled, hopefully doesn't have super influence over any big super influence over anything going on here. Maybe the story was retweaked, or maybe she actually wrote something good. I don't know. All I know is I appreciate these comments. That's all I have really to say about it. It's just nice to see that, and I thought it was worth highlighting for a second. I appreciate it. Now, another thing going on with Marvel Comics is apparently some changes were done to artwork recently by this artist, Greg Smallwood. Sad to say that without my approval, Marvel attempted to fix several panels of my art in issue 2 of Elektra Black, White, and Blood before sending it to the printers. They're not huge changes, but I really don't like my art being tampered with. And apparently this is what they changed. You can see it right here. They changed the eyes, changed the iris up. I like the original art better, but apparently this panel on the left is considered racist because that's why they changed it. And I really think it takes the emotion out of the picture. There's a couple other examples here. This one right here, notably, the left is what he did, and then on the right are the changes by the Marvel bullpen, as he called it. And I got to say, his art looks better. I don't exactly understand why this is racist. Here's what he said. A long story short, 2 months after turning in my finished pages, I was informed by the editor that Marvel's standards and practices flagged my art and requested I redraw several panels so that they would be within tolerance for best representation of Asian characters. Here's another one right here. Wife and I are expecting our second child the following week. We're expecting our second child the following week, and I was racing to finish an issue of HT before the birth, so I told Marvel that I didn't have time to make the changes, but I would be perfectly fine with them pulling the story for sensitivity concerns. I was told that pulling the story was not an option, and if I couldn't do revisions, the Marvel bullpen would take a crack at my pages instead. I stated clearly that I didn't want anyone touching my art, so I dropped everything and everything I was doing and immediately reworked all of the panels that were flagged. Unfortunately, I just found out yesterday that the folks at Marvel didn't even bother using my new art and instead went to print with their own revised pages. I was not given a chance to make further revisions or even approve the alterations made by the bullpen. They also attempted to cover up some nudity, which just resulted in a muddled mess. Again, something I was willing to fix. Now, I can't show you that picture, but what they did with the nudity picture is they basically just drew in a bunch of smears that look like pants. It looked awful. But this is just crazy that this is considered racist. I don't get it. Clearly he's trying to do some emotion with the eyes here, and this fix, in quotations, looks worse. That's just my opinion. I think the artist did a fine job. I don't really see the problem, even in this. I think this looks really good on the left. On the right, the way the eyes are done, it just draws a lot of attention to it, and it just doesn't work for me. I'm no expert on art. I'm just going off layman, looking at it and giving my opinion, and I think the one on the left looks better. It fits with the scene. Obviously, there's a lot of black and white. I mean, that's why it's called Elektra black and white. But interesting. I find these kind of experimental comics very interesting. I like this black and white style, and then it's kind of like Sin City. Have you ever seen Sin City? It's black and white, but there's dashes of color here and there. I kind of like that style. So it's interesting to see. I would almost want to check this book out, but this kind of ruins it for me, and I'm not sure I want to support these changes. It's just interesting to see Marvel do this and actually get called out by someone. This guy's effectively kind of screwing his job up, his job prospects, because I don't think you're supposed to do this. So I commend him for coming out and speaking out on it. It's just weird that this is considered soft and sensitive. Her eyes look dead on the right in this picture. There's nothing in there. It's soulless. Where on the left, the emotion is conveyed a lot better with her eyes being blacked out like that. Just really stupid change. But this is the sensitivity that comes with working at Marvel Comics versus a manga where they would never do shit like this. Well, they do make editorial changes, but I don't think they would go in and change the eyes like this. Anyway, I don't know. Crazy stuff that I thought was interesting. Let me know your thoughts on this. Also, if you would, please subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out. Also, make sure to follow me over on Twitch. I do watch parties, play video games over there. They're always fun. Follow me over there and come hang out. Also, make sure you subscribe to YellowFlash, my other channel. There's a link to that in the description as well. I do a lot of live streams over there that I don't do on this channel. Usually smaller and a little bit more personal. So make sure you follow me over there and sign up.